Her sister and I both told her she was doing great, that Matthew would be here soon. I felt useless watching her in that much pain, but I stayed. I didn't leave the room except to use the bathroom once. Despite everything that had happened between us, despite all the lies and hurt, I was grateful to be there for this moment. She needed someone, and I was Matthew's father. That mattered more than our broken relationship. At 6:47 p.m., the doctor said it was time to push. 3 more nurses came in. Everyone got into position. Laura pushed for 40 minutes, exhausting herself with each contraction. Then suddenly there he was. The doctor held up this tiny wet person who immediately started crying. They put him on Laura's chest for a minute while they cleaned him off. 7 pounds 3 ounces, the nurse announced. Then she wrapped him in a blanket and brought him over to me. I held my son for the first time. He was so small, his face red and scrunched up, his fingers curled into fists. Something shifted inside me, this fierce protective love that came out of nowhere and hit me like a truck. I couldn't stop looking at him. Laura was crying, watching us from the bed. Her sister was crying too. The nurses were cleaning up and doing their job around us, but in that moment nothing else existed except this tiny person in my arms. Matthew Thomas, my son. Whatever mess Laura and I had made of our relationship, we'd created him. That was all that mattered now. The nurse brought over a clipboard with paperwork an hour after Matthew was born. I read through the acknowledgement of paternity form while Laura held our son against her chest. The legal language was dense, but the meaning was clear. By signing this, I was officially establishing myself as Matthew's father in the eyes of the state. Laura looked over at me, waiting to see what I would do. I picked up the pen and signed my name on the line. She signed her section too, and we both dated it. The nurse witnessed our signatures and took the clipboard back. That was it, official and legal. We were Matthew's parents, regardless of what happened between us as a couple. The next 2 days in the hospital passed in a blur of diaper changes and feeding schedules. The nurses showed us how to swaddle Matthew properly, how to support his head, how to check if he was latched correctly during feedings. Laura and I took turns practicing each skill, while the nurses watched and corrected our technique. I was surprised by how easily we worked together when we focused on Matthew instead of our broken relationship. She would hand me a clean diaper at exactly the right moment. I would grab the burp cloth before she even asked for it. We moved around each other smoothly, like we had been doing this for years instead of hours. The nurses kept calling us mom and dad and asking questions about our plans at home. They assumed we lived together and were a couple. Neither of us corrected them because it seemed pointless to explain our complicated situation to strangers we would never see again. What mattered was that we were both learning how to care for our son. On the 3rd day, they discharged us, and I drove Laura and Matthew back to her apartment. I helped carry her bags upstairs and made sure she had everything she needed before I left. 2 weeks later, we had settled into a custody rhythm that actually worked. I picked Matthew up every Tuesday and Friday evening and kept him overnight at my place. Laura packed his diaper bag with everything he needed and walked me through his current schedule each time. I brought him back the next morning and we traded notes about how he slept and ate. My therapy sessions with Audrey helped me process the stress of being a new parent while navigating co-parenting with Laura. She seemed genuinely committed to working on herself too, based on updates she shared about her own therapy. Katie had moved on with her life, and I was glad for her even though it stung a little. My focus was on being the father Matthew deserved. The future was not what I had planned when Laura and I first got together. But I was building something honest and stable from the wreckage of our relationship. Matthew would grow up knowing both his parents chose responsibility and truth over convenient lies. That mattered more than anything else. And that wraps it up for today. I like when stories hold a small lesson you can actually take into the real world. If one detail stuck with you, then it did its job. Subscribe so you are ready for the next one.